Africa is on X.
At Africa Melane.
9 minutes now, it is to 5 o'clock. For many, I suppose downsizing your home from, particularly if you've had a family, maybe a multiple bedroomed house, into a smaller property is something that many are having to entertain and, or at least consider. It can be about simplifying lives as people reassess how much space that they actually need. There's a growing interest in lock-up and go properties that offer security, less maintenance, and the freedom to travel or spend more time away from home without worrying about a large property. Joining us now is the broker owner at Remax All Stars, Nadia Aucamp, to talk about, is it time to downsize your home? Nadia, a very good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Africa. Thank you for having me.
All right, when is it time to ask yourself that question, I wonder?
There are different times to ask yourself that question. I think a lot of people, when I'm looking at the reasons why people downscale, it can range from no longer needing that large house, for example, children moving out, or it might be economic of nature. In broad terms, maybe the owning and maintaining of a large freestanding home is far more expensive than living in a smaller lifestyle complex.
I suppose the other reality is many people rushed to go and buy a property when COVID forced interest rates to be quite low, and all of a sudden people thought, oh wait, I could afford to buy a property. And however many years later, the cost of living has adjusted to such an extent that they realize that one, they don't need that size of property, or perhaps they can no longer afford to live in that location where their property is currently located.
Yes, definitely. And I think those people are also making those lifestyle changes at the moment, considering these lifestyle estates and looking, as you said, security is definitely one of the main focuses that people are considering. Willing to sacrifice size of a property to have this added security is definitely one of the main reasons people are moving.
I wonder, do you have a checklist of things we absolutely have to satisfy when we've made the decision we're going to downsize? Therefore, what am I looking for?
I think when you make that decision to downsize, you need to research potential options that you are considering. The areas where you want to be, is it going to be a coastal or a bushveld, or are you looking more metropolitan? And then also the prices that's associated with these properties and in these areas. Those are definitely things to consider. And also, what type of estate are you looking at? Is it a retirement village? Is it lifestyle estates? Or is it more just complex living in a close suburban area?
Because depending on what your objective is, you literally are looking at very different things, I imagine, right?
Definitely. And I think another thing you need to consider as well is getting a valuation of your current property to see if this move is feasible at the end of the day, finding out what your home is worth and how much you still owe on this property. And if you make the move, what will be the consequences in your financial situation as well?
Because what we're finding, Nadia, on that is that because there's almost an oversupply of property, if one can say that, in Gauteng, the properties are not selling for the amounts that people are wishing for, right? I know somebody who's had to effectively cut up to 500,000 Rand on their property before it's sold, and therefore the amount of money they received is far less than what they had hoped for. So therefore making the shift to Cape Town, for example, was going to be impractical and unfeasible because while the property had been paid up and therefore all the money was going to come to her, minus taxes and costs and stuff like that, she wanted to buy something in Cape Town where she could live and live comfortably, and she just couldn't afford where she was looking in Cape Town, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately, we are seeing that a lot at the moment. As you say, the supply, there's more properties available. So also your buyers have got the choice of property in the Gauteng area. But moving down to a coastal area as Cape Town, you're looking more expensive in purchasing properties there.
Yeah. Is there a world where you could continue living on the same property but downscale and therefore not subdivide necessarily, but section off your house and get other people to come and share the load with you?
Yes, we have been seeing that a lot in some of the areas we operate in, where people are actually using their houses as renting out rooms to maybe family members or friends, just to also get an additional income to help nowadays in the economic situation, but also to assist with the maintenance of the property, because owning a big home can have those extra maintenance issues that you need to look at, not only the cleaning on the inside, but also the maintenance and repairs on the outside of a property.
Yeah. Having said that, Nadia, it hasn't killed the big property market. I mean, I saw a property on the market for 58 million rand the other day, and I thought, who's buying properties of this scale and size? And I'm sure it's going to be snapped up in a couple of weeks, a couple of months. There's still a market for people who want to buy large family homes.
There's definitely still a market, and I think in that high-end property market, we see that those people aren't really affected by the economic situations and things like that. You get your international investors that's still keen to snap up these properties when they list in specific areas, especially Cape Town and surrounds, where they love to make those investments.
Yeah, which obviously begs another conversation, right? What should be done to protect the South African from being excluded in those desired sort of property strips like Atlantic Seaboard, for example? Everybody wishes to go and live there, but if you're a Capetonian, sometimes even a Joburger for that matter, you probably can't afford to live in an apartment, never mind a house along that strip.
Yes, unfortunately so.
All right, Nadia, thank you very much. Nadia Aucamp is a broker owner at Remax All Stars, reflecting on when it's time to downsize your home. Have you had to downsize your home out of interest? What was the motivating factor, and what lessons did you glean from downsizing that you'd like to share with CapeTalk and 702 listeners? Some cases, it's an empty nest. All the kids have left, and now you want to enjoy retirement, so therefore living in a two-bedroomed, fairly sized apartment or unit is what you're looking for, and therefore you make that decision in that way. In other cases, it's a financial decision. You just simply cannot afford to look after a big property, and therefore either that, or in some cases, you can't afford to live so far away from work. So moving as close as possible to work makes more sense. And therefore, moving into an apartment might be a more prudent thing to do. And that's a decision you make. But what has been the motivating factor for you in downsizing, and what lessons did you learn from that process that you'd like to share with our listeners?